I used to deal with Ukrainian corruption quite closely across different spheres. I even published a book on Ukrainian corruption after Maidan. I can tell you that in actual fact, I believe that nobody knows the actual scale of Ukrainian corruption. We can only say that I, as someone who has lived in Ukraine and who has insights, I can say that corruption has been transformed. It used to be a crime, a criminal act, but now it is the foundation, the basis, the pillar of the Ukrainian regime, of Ukrainian governance. And there are no moral restrictions, and there are no smart moves even observed. We can speak about some sophisticated embezzlement schemes, but there are cases when people just blatantly steal money. I conducted an investigation and we shoot a documentary on how Ukrainian, these were not high-ranking people, these were officers, brigade chiefs, they were stealing US-made weapons and they were sending that equipment to Hamas and Hezbollah to the Middle East. And I went to Syria on a business trip and we found Javelin, Stingers and British-made weapons that had been supplied to Ukraine but ended up in the hands of Hezbollah. There were instructions, user manuals in the Ukrainian language. It testifies to the fact that there are no restrictions, and I'm sure that the Western community was aware of it, and top executives under Joe Biden were fully aware of it, but they were turning a blind eye. Why? Because many American high-ranking individuals were involved in those corrupt schemes.
Yeah. In fact, just let me interject. I know in this current investigation, there is a prominent Republican senator who has received, I was told, over $16 million, and a prominent Democrat senator who received $23 million. So yeah, we like to pretend that Ukrainians are somehow more corrupt than anybody else. It's a universal.
Larry, $20 million
is peanuts.
Yeah.
Вы знаете такого человека, Амос Хокштейн?
Amos Hochstein.
All right, folks, hold on just a second. We've got something important to share with you. First off, a big thank you for all your incredible support. Our team's been putting in the hours, really working hard to bring you insightful guests, new and improved formats, solid, high-quality analysis every week. Our next goal, hitting that 100,000 subscriber mark and getting that silver button. Let's make it happen together. Every like, comment, share, and subscription truly helps us grow and keep improving. All right then, let's get back to the video.
Yeah.
Just
a brief remark. He was a member of the observation board of Naftogaz, a Ukrainian government-owned corporation that was responsible for gas deliveries to Ukraine and gas trading. According to my estimates, within the period from 2014 through 2018, that corporation stole about $4 billion. And Amos Hochstein was, roughly speaking, an observer from the Democratic Party in that Ukraine. He was lobbying the interests of that corporation, and he was in charge of corruption schemes. What do you think? How much did he earn? And if, well, there's an ongoing corruption at Energoatom. It is a government corporation responsible for nuclear energy in Ukraine. And you know for sure that starting in 2014, American and Japanese corporation, Westinghouse, has been active in Ukraine. And basically it has seized control of the nuclear energy market and the entire industry in Ukraine. And the lobbyist of its penetration was the Democratic Party of the United States, including Mrs. Hillary Clinton. And there were billions of stolen. There was big embezzlement. And I believe that the ongoing corruption scandal in Ukraine, in addition to using it as a strong leverage against the Zelensky administration, the US Republican Party and Donald Trump have a good chance to hit a blow against the competitors, against the Democratic Party. Those financial flows could be closed. This is my private opinion.
Yeah, of course, I don't discount the possibility that there are also Republicans there, feeding at the trough like a pig, taking advantage of it. It's sort of a bipartisan goal. Like with respect to, I don't know if you have any, memories about Burisma. So there's Hunter Biden, the son of vice president, but the one that hasn't gotten much attention was Cofer Black. Cofer was a CIA officer. Then he went to State Department as the coordinator for counterterrorism, was the head of the office I used to work with. And then all of a sudden he winds up on the board of Burisma as well as on the board of a Baltic bank. I personally don't believe in coincidence, and I think that there were some elements of corruption in that.
Some elements is very mildly put. Well, the simplest thing is that Burisma received a mineral production license, a mineral extraction license in a priority regime. There was a green light given to it to work in Ukraine, and the income of that corporation was very high. And all these operations were actually, the oversight was exercised by former CIA officers and the President of Poland. Do you remember the scandal when there was an attempt to initiate a criminal investigation of Burisma, and Biden insisted on having the Ukrainian prosecutor general fired? And this was so unceremoniously done. It was done so shamelessly that there is nothing to be said about it. They treated Ukraine as a colony. We can do with our colony whatever we want. Burisma, yes. We have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars lost in corruption.
Yeah. Well, let me close. We've run out of time, unfortunately. Let me close with this and get your opinion. Right now, it looks like, on average, Ukrainians are suffering around 1,300, 1,400 casualties per day. So over a month, that's about 40,000 casualties in a month. In addition, the people are going AWOL, abandoning their posts to the tune of, I've seen 20,000 a month and as many as 40,000 a month. So let's go with the lower total. That means in total right now, Ukraine is bleeding 60,000 people per month. The last recruitment numbers I saw were somewhere they were able to recruit around 25,000 a month. I'm not great at math, but I can figure out that is an unsustainable loss. And that I think the reports that are coming out now about the corruption combined with those losses indicate Ukraine's days are numbered in terms of being able to continue to fight. Do you think I'm being overly optimistic?
Ну, я думаю, вы несколько
I think
оптимистичны,
you are
поскольку
somewhat
людей на Украине
optimistic
еще в армии
because
хватает.
they have enough people in Ukraine. In terms of manpower, they have mobilization reserves. They can recruit people from the streets. And please do not forget this opportunity to replenish the Ukrainian army using foreign mercenaries. And we are observing an increase in their headcount, especially mercenaries from Latin America. I don't think that Ukraine is living its last days, though it would be stupid to deny the problems. And actually, things are very difficult if we are talking about manpower on the battlefield. But the war is highly technological now, and Ukraine is more or less all right. It is the infantry problem, but drones and technology, and it is not the headcount, the infantry headcount, but the number of operators of Ukrainian drones. We are coping with them, but not so successfully as we'd like to. And in terms of drones, Ukraine is one of the global leaders, and it's stupid to deny it.
Right, no, I don't deny that. But I also look at just recruiting somebody off the street doesn't mean they're trained. And as you know, training anybody for military operations, minimum of 3 months. And with the advent of the drones and the greater technology, you're looking at more like a 6-month training regimen. And I don't see Ukraine as having the training infrastructure in place. If for no other reason, there's not a single safe place in Ukraine that Russia cannot hit.
Вы правы.
You're
Но
right,
можно же
but
начать обучение
they
на
can start
полигонах в Польше,
training the people in Poland on training grounds in Germany, and they can actually send untrained soldiers to fight, and they can actually ask foreign countries to extradite Ukrainian men back to Ukraine. There are well-trained Ukrainian units that are spared, and their losses are minimal. And they can afford to train new recruits, ensuring high quality of training. And there's infantry that is used to plug holes, and they send people to fight after 3 days of training, just to make sure that the Russian offensive is stopped. And I witnessed that in Severodonetsk, in Lysychansk, and Rubezhne, when our army was attacking, and there was a threat that the Ukrainian army would be surrounded, and they sent Belarus and Georgian mercenaries just to stop our units for a few hours. All of them were killed. All Georgians were killed. There were 2 Belarusians as prisoners of war. I talked to them, and this is the attitude of the Ukrainian leadership. And you are not supposed to spare lives. You can send people to fight. They have other cannon fodder to be sent to fight. Unfortunately, it is so.